psychology of people, the course, can it be applied to, well, any area of life as long as we have what we call the business operating system in place. It'll apply to clients. It'll apply to employees. It'll apply to contractors, vendors, referral partners, donors, and volunteers if we're a nonprofit organization. It'll be even applying to family and friends. It'll apply within associations. Really, any group of people will want to put their entire leadership team through it, all the employees, and all their members too. That's how powerful it will be. Don't think of this in one part. We don't care. Life Mastery's legacy partners, they don't care if you apply it to your family, your spouse, your children, your grandchildren, or your business, or hiring, or recruiting, or with your. It applies to every single area. Now, just think about that for just a moment. What are the implications for each one of us, for those around us, for the entire world? Tom, you have had so much success in your career. You've traveled all around the world, seen all different types of systems. You've talked about trusting the integrity of the system. Why do you think this course is so important for everyone to take, Tom?
Well, primarily because the whole world's made up of people, and you can't survive by yourself for very long. And then, so I think what the course would help you do is to give you it will teach you how to deal with other people. And I think too often we tend to look at people and take them at face value instead of asking questions and finding out why they're feeling the way they're feeling today, because tomorrow may be different, and there may be things going on in their life that we need to know about, which would change our opinion of who they are and what they are.
Nice. Peter, the first time you and I met, I think we talked for an hour and a half, and then 2 days later we talked for a couple more hours, and you had said, Mark, the speed upon which you process things and can assess things and determine things is just amazing. When you, Tom, and I taught the leverage course, there were so many cool things in there. This is going to be, in addition, it's going to be a multiplier, a 10x factor in that. Peter, why do you think that the course is so important to people and how it will impact every area of their life?
Well, I think it takes you from being a passenger on the bus to being a driver on the bus. We all have different experiences in life. We go through a very systematic upbringing to a certain extent through education, and then into business, and are taught the way, in my book, the constrained way we think. And the same goes with collaboration. So it's not just the question of how do you get yourself from the back of the bus to steering where you want to go, but how do you collaborate with others that you're either leading or following in order to ensure you can create your own path forward. So this helps you really understand the players and understand yourself in a way that you can go where you want to go, not just be a victim in a sense of the system.
Nice. And when people get overwhelmed, what advice, Tom or Peter, would you give as we start flying through this material? What advice would either of you give to people who get overwhelmed and say, man, there's so much here?
Well, I'd say hit the pause button and stop for a moment and reflect and digest on what you're hearing, and try and learn what you need. Once you have insight and confidence into anything, then you start to leverage what you're learning. And so there's many situations that are overwhelming, if you keep going at the pace you're going, then there's a limit to what you can absorb. And the whole idea of life is to grow. So if you're getting overwhelmed with it, hit the pause button. Self-reflect, think, learn, and then continue.
Tom, you've said numerous times that you've never gone into a position you've been qualified for. How do you, when you get overwhelmed, Tom, and feel like you're drowning, it's like, wow, there's just way too much. What do you do in that situation?
Well, I just stopped and assess the process and try to go back to a point where I felt confident about what was going on, and then compare that point with where I'm at now, find the differences and focus on those.
Cool. So you guys know that I tend to talk really fast, cover a lot of material in a very short period of time. And so you guys can slow me down, because here we're going to be going through, it's going to be, covering the races. So who will benefit from this? If you said everyone, you'd be right. And so this is something that's global in nature. As I've been blessed to be an international speaker and author, travel all around the world, every country I've ever been in, they all love the psychology of people, the DNA for people, the personality mastery. So think of two people in any area of your life who would benefit from this course, and then invite them to join you in your life-changing and your mind-changing journey. So this is literally going to connect synapses in your brain. That's what creates, I think, as Paul Weiner says, the goosebump moments, the tingling moments where it's like, whoa, that's crazy. That just, wow, I never thought of that before. And that's quantum thinking. We're going to be talking a lot about dimensional thinking, and the next dimension above that, the next level, is quantum thinking, and that's going to be really exciting for us. The challenge is, if we don't understand how to internalize each and every lesson, the course won't radically change our lives and the lives of people around us. Tom, you are probably one of the top, if not the top person I've ever known in my life that you internalize like crazy. Any ideas, any suggestions you would give on what people can do to internalize every single lesson we go through, every single slide, everything that's shared? Any suggestions, Tom, you would give?
Basically, I guess my internalization comes from the belief factor. When I see something that I'm interested in, I have to first of all understand, is it something I really truly believe in? Meaning, and that's the internalization process. If I really believe in this, in whatever it is, and I think that it can help me or help my family or help other people that I know or may not know, then that's what really starts the internalization process, is the belief in whatever it is. Once I do that, then my behavior changes. And when my behavior changes, then my outcome changes. And that's what gets to the outcome you're looking for. At least that's how it works with me.
Cool. I love that. So let's go ahead and dig in. Paul Weiner says, every lesson gives me goosebumps. I'm awakened from every lesson. Ted Bell says, every business owner, every team member will benefit from this. Nicole says, I learned more about business and people than her 2 business degrees in college. So this stuff is rapid fire. There's so much here. So first is to learn how to internalize. To learn how to internalize, we first must have a crash course in leverage and engineered clarity. So put on your seatbelt. Here we go. So leverage is breaking the status quo. It's creating a core culture. It's exceptional performance. Engineered clarity is the process of thinking differently that brings satisfaction where you desire clarity in people, business, and life. It's working together, achieving our life visions together, doing all of those different things. So when we look at something that's unclear, we ask questions. Then we listen. Now, we don't ask questions the way we ask questions. We ask questions like a 3-year-old asks questions, like, I don't know, 300, 500 times a day. It's unbelievable. We listen like a small child listens, like we're going back into almost like a Ratatouille moment. Like we go back into our childhood and we say, when do we grow the most? And we ask questions and listen at a whole different level, which then gives us the ability to see things, to have the epiphany, to have the life, like, wow, that's amazing. And that helps us to understand our intentions, the purity, the impurity of it, on how to help other people. Step 4 is that gives us the capabilities to think differently, which then increases our capabilities. That leads to internalization, which leads to doing, which leads to a result. And so, pretty simple, but it's not. I mean, the more I think we study this, to go from unclear to clear, the more we know we don't know, and that's important as we go through it. So when you sign up for the class, when you register, you're given an art mentor. That art mentor, they're going to help you gain the most from the course, but you're going to not learn the most from the art mentor. You're going to be assigned to 2 art buddies. And you're going to be a little bit further along in the course than they are. Maybe only 1 lesson or maybe months ahead, hard to say. But you're going to learn more from your 2 art buddies, because if we really want to learn something, the best way to learn it is to actually teach it and being able to go through it. So the internalization process helps us to gain the clarity. So let's take a quick look at the internalization model. And again, this is something that you need to think about. Like Peter said, put it on pause. Like try to assimilate. How about internalizing the model? So we talked about asking questions. That creates an awakening. So if somebody asks us a question, we say, that's a great question. That's an awakening. If we're not asking great questions and people aren't saying that's a great question, we're not creating an awakening moment. Then we need to listen. That connects back into our why. This is Tom said is our belief system, our life vision. Like, why were we put on this planet? Then we take a look at and we see things in a different way. We have this epiphany like, oh my gracious, I never thought about that in the past. That gives us great insights, which then leads to intention in purifying. Like Tom, if you notice what he said, he's interested in his family and people around him. And then he also added, again, listening, he also added people that I don't even know. Like, who cares about people that they don't even know? Most of us have a hard time caring about the people we do know, which then leads to thinking differently, not just thinking like a radical, like, oh my gracious, this is amazing. Like, I've never thought of that before, which then gives us new capability, which gives us leverage, which then gives us the ability to internalize things, and then we change. Now, this is my favorite part. Peter discovered this it was a reflex. He knew it at a deep level. We went through all of this in leverage, and that leads to doing. And then you go through all of this work, and then what happens? And Peter just said, you fail. Excuse me? You fail? You do. We do. And then we get it. Like, we're not that smart. We're not that important. I mean, we are, but we're not. Like, there's so much in the world of entitlement. There's so much in the world, like in America, for example, the students are when they do research, they find that the students are the most confident students of any students in the world. But yet they score the worst on all the tests. It's like, so we're not really addressing failure, and so we get it, and then we have to go through the entire process again. And if we don't understand the internalization process, we're gonna have struggles we're gonna go through the course, and you're gonna say, wow, that was a good course. That's not our goal. Our goal is you go through and say, holy smokes, I've never seen like every lesson. There's the goosebump moment, like every single lesson. What are the lessons? Well, it's going through and looking at an awakening and then helping to create ownership and then work and then care, all of those four things, but integrated into the power of BOSS, the 17 seconds to quantum thinking, one system for everything, natural laws leverage everything, dimensional thinking, building quantum systems, next step, turning learning into earning. All right, so now we're going to fly even faster. Tom and Peter, you guys are free to interrupt at any time you wish. Jason Miller says some cool things about millennials should pay a close attention to this. This will answer many questions that they have. Elise shared on how it helped her marriage and her two young daughters. Jorge said it changed how I see people, life as a Hispanic man and a CPA. So when we look at the business system, the business operating system, this is the one system that runs and oversees everything. It's the engine that runs our business, our lives. We earn the money we earn, work the hours we work, have the stress and the life balance we do or do not have due to our boss, our engine. And so if we think we should be making more money, we need to be awakened. We need to take personal ownership. We need to work harder, smarter. We need to leverage things. We need to care an abundant amount about other people. That's really the heart and the soul of the boss, the business operating system, which then unleashes human potential in us, everyone around us, everyone close to us, and then even beyond us as well. There are three elements to the boss system. There's the DNA for people, personality masteries, which is a big part of the psychology of people, but there's more. There's the DNA for business, which is the economic engine, the 530 grid. And then there's the DNA for life, which is the natural laws. And somehow, I'm not even sure how it all works, but it magically all blends together in being able to go through it. So in the DNA for people, we learn deeply about ourselves and others. In the DNA for business, it's the science behind our economic engine. The DNA for life is the science behind success in every area of our life. So now we start to blend all this together. It's like, whoa, leverage, engineer clarity. Now there's four types of major personalities, and so which of these four shapes would you tend to like the most? A cube, a pyramid, wavy line, or ball? There's another short test that also is asked. Between those two tests, there's 65,536 possible combinations. It's insane how fast is in 17 seconds. We're going to be talking about that. In 17 seconds, you can identify somebody's personality, which is their strengths, weaknesses, what they like, what they don't, turns them on, turns them off, if they're married, who they're married to, conflict of marriage, what to say, when to say it, how to say it. You know more about them in 17 seconds than they literally know about themselves. That's the psychology of people. But more than that, how do we turn that into an economic engine so I, as a business owner, can become more profitable, increase my sales? I, as an employee, can help wherever I'm working for, whether it's a for-profit or a non-for-profit, create a greater economic engine so I can make more. Like if the business isn't making more, I'm not going to make more. Like this is what's called selfless selfishness. It's like I need to help other people. There's 5 areas: marketing, pre-sales, the sales, servicing, and client for life. And then in the DNA for life, the natural laws, there's 3 energies: see, think, and do. And so we won't get into this time, but we'll be talking about it in the future. So you'll see the color coding. The DNA for people is red, so we're listening here, but it also has a red outline around see, think, and do, internalize, where we have to blend in the personalities throughout everything that we do. The DNA for business is the asking questions and the internalization. The DNA for life is the see, think, and do. So this is blended all together in like almost a magical way in being able to go through it and really be able to understand it. Questions or thoughts, Tom or Peter?
I don't have any.
Peter, any questions or thoughts you have?
No, I'm clear.
Okay. So again, they've kind of been through this before. If you're listening, for the first time, again, this is one of those times we warned you about, like, whoa, what's going on here? This is so much. It's okay. You'll catch up. We'll cover this again. DNA for business, it integrates all of these things together. and blends it all together like a wonderful, meal, mixing all of the different ingredients together, and then the DNA for Life, where it's integrating everything that we have in all of these elements to help you discover your story, find your life vision, find your why, and then be able to live that out every single day, which gives us leverage and capabilities. This brings it into, so a properly designed, engineered boss system has the ability to cover every area of life in any group of people you desire to impact. Clients, employees, contractors, vendors, referral partners, donors, volunteers, family, friends, associations, any groups of people. That's what a good boss will help us to be able to do. Now, in the psychology of people, it's different than any other course you've gone through, where 90% of the focus is not the course itself. It's a system for follow-through. So how many of us have been through some type of, course? It could be a seminar, workshop. It could be, a class. It could be online, whatever. We get motivated, inspired, and then we don't follow through. Let me see your hands. Right, all of us are raising our hands. And so the psychology of people, through Life Masteries Institute and Legacy Partners, has a system to follow through. And so it's always follow through. So on average, less than 3% of the people that take a course will actually follow through on it. Internalization will help, but then we need to make sure that we have a system in place to follow through. And Life Masteries Institute and Legacy Partners actually has that. It's very simple. It's learntoearn.dna4success.com. There's all different types of options that you can choose on it to make sure that you follow through, not just from one lesson to the next, but once you finish the course, how do you make sure that it sticks with you your entire life? Real important to go through. So we just finished up The Power of Boss, the science of psychology of people for people in every area of one's life. Next lesson is going to be 17 seconds to quantum thinking. It's the DNA for people, learning to identify someone's personality in 17 seconds. Then we're going to go through lesson 3, one system for everyone, the 530 grid, DNA for business, the 5 areas which will attract the right people and build lifelong relationships. Number 4 is natural laws that leverage everything, DNA for life, integrate the 500 plus natural laws throughout the entire DNA for the 530 grid, dimensional thinking, helping people to think differently. Building quantum systems, 6 systems which make you very different than anyone else on the planet. The next step, turning learning into earning. So again, if you're overwhelmed, congratulations. That means you listened, you internalized. Can't wait for the next lesson here. There's some supporting materials, and so read the white paper, Quantum Thinking, Connecting the Dots. That will help you a great deal. There's a mobile app through Life Masteries Institute, www.life-gps.org. And so that'll identify your personality, get you ready for the next one. You can get a channel on there. It'll go ahead and provide, connect all the different people in your life to some really cool things. And so let's take a look at that again. It brings in the boss, and then it brings in the quantum thinking. So again, we've gone through, if it seems like we went through a lot of information in a very short period of time, the reason it seems that way is because we did. Your number one thing that you need to do is connect with your art mentor, with what you learned, actions you will take, and the next thing to learn. Number 2 is deep learning comes from helping your 2 art buddies to manage up and out and apply what they learned. And again, get that learn to earn, that follow-through system in place. You have any questions, need anything, you can connect with the individual who helped you participate in this, or you can call toll-free 888-230-2300. That's 888-230-2300. Or if you're calling in outside the U.S., you can call the U.S.-based number at 630-393-9909. So in being able to go through this, there's some really cool things that we'll be working on and blending it together. Tom, Peter, any questions that you guys have before we go into the Q&A?
None for me.
All right. So again, it probably seems like we drinking out of a fire hose, no problem. There'll be a short pause, and then we'll dive into the Q&A. Here we go.